because I never saw myself as a child actually being a motorsport racer. You know, I never saw myself as driving cars for a living. And when I started karting, I couldn't see myself being there. It was like a little imaginary goal that I had that I'd fall asleep to, and that would be the dream, you know. And I was always, I guess, a little bit scared jumping up classes because I was fairly young when I started. I guess about the same age as most people, but to me, 8 years old is pretty young to start driving something around. And I guess I jumped up the classes really quickly, and I wasn't exactly expecting that because I was always a little bit tentative, I guess, to make the next leap. Because I saw the other people in the higher class, it would have been a really small jump, but I saw it as a big jump to me, you know. I was that kind of person, I guess. And I guess now that I jumped to Formula BMW straight from karts, that was really huge. The jumping to cars to me was a really big challenge because I was always a little bit, I'd say, afraid because it was a really big step, you know. It's a lot heavier to drive around. It's a lot more things to do. Karting just became so natural, and it just wasn't a hassle. I could jump in any car and it wouldn't be trouble at all because I was very confident in my own abilities. Because there are only so many things you have to do in a car. In a car, there's a lot more things to worry about, and I guess because I didn't have a big budget, I was always having to think about crashing the car as well. And I know a lot of drivers don't have that hassle, so they don't have to put their mind there. But I guess I always had to think, should I make this pass and maybe take a wheel off, or should I hold back and kind of conserve my position? And that's always a little bit difficult. But when I started jumping up to these classes, I guess I had the right people around me to make me feel as though I belonged there. And I met Graham Watson, and he was a really inspirational figure, and he helped a lot of good people come through. Like I think he helped Mark Webber a little bit, and the Bradmans, and you know, that's a good figure to have by your side, telling you that you can do this. And you know, he wore his heart on his sleeve, but he gave you the confidence that you needed. And I was this type of driver that really needed that confidence boost, just not all the time, but just initially to make sure that I was in a happy place to drive the car, I guess. And unfortunately, he passed away before my first ever race, and I think that hurt me a fair bit in my first season in Formula BMW because I didn't really have that figure anymore. I had Mitchell Barner, who I've known for a very long time. He's been a family friend. He's helped me ever since I jumped up into the junior ranks in karting. And I guess he kind of became that figure which I could rely on. And that was a big help. But I know when I went to Puebla, I was having a bit of trouble. You know, I've done a lot of testing, and in the testing I was quick, I was doing everything right, and I was getting more familiar with the team. But I guess once we got to that first race, and it was in Mexico, and there's 40,000 fans there to watch the World Touring cars, but they don't really know the difference, so they're watching you as well, thinking you're a great driver, and they're coming up to you trying to shake your hand and get autographs. That was a strange moment, I guess, because suddenly I was this 15 or 16-year-old thrust into this environment, and I hadn't really been there before. You know, I was a little Aussie kid wearing thongs to the track and some board shorts and things like that, and people would look at me and say he probably needs to tidy up his act, and I guess I had to a certain extent because you have to get used to that environment. But you know, it was really different, and it was a big struggle. But eventually, I started getting the results, and I think once the results start to come your way, start to feel that you're at home, I guess. And once I went to Laguna Seca for the IMSA Light Drive, I was really scared about 2 weeks out because I hadn't been in a car for a long time. And I was just kind of thrust into it because I needed to make a decision either way. And I really wanted to step up my career because I'd seen other drivers, which I'd raced previously, and they were in bigger categories. And I was just like, you know what, I have to get there. You know, I can't let them beat me to the punch. So I went over there and I threw up about 3 times on my helmet, and the engineers weren't impressed. But once they saw what kind of lap times I could do, I guess they changed their mind. And you know, and I won on debut, and that was a big thing. And I probably should have won the next race, but you know, things happen in racing. And I think from that point onwards, I never really saw the big jump as a big thing. And I'm so used to being thrust into any kind of car by now that I'm just kind of used to it, and I enjoy it because I enjoy the challenge.